Stories trending around the world is Anieze Osakwe. Annie from Oguta, right?
Ogidi.
Ogidi, from Ogidi.
Close, but not quite.
Annie from Ogidi.
Yes, good morning, Dr. Abati. Once again, good to see you. Vimbai.
Good morning, Annie.
Always good to see you.
Yes.
Same with you, Rufai. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to everyone out there. Let's kick off what's trending with a bombshell new video from Kimberly Daniels. She's a U.S. legislator from the Florida House of Representatives, coming straight for Nigeria's Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawalle, in which she makes a shocking allegation that Matawalle actually attempted to bribe a U.S. official. Why? The United World Congress of Diplomats, an international organization, put out a report calling out Matawalle and his alleged proximity to terrorists here in Nigeria. Well, in a 15-minute Facebook Live posted to her official account, Daniels claims that Matawalle tried to make it all go away with money. Let's watch.
Because I can see the kind of person you are that will come and ask an elected official that you never met before to do a flyer with you and him on it, and he don't know you. What are you hiding, sir? This is, I feel like is this a movie? I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. Is this for real? So I had to come on Facebook, because this is one, it's so much stuff people have done to me, and I'm quiet, and I'm not gonna be quiet about this. But to create a fake flyer of endorsement with your picture and another state representative, and then to create a letter praising yourself, and to tell that man you will give him any amount of money to publish it, and you don't even know him, sir, that is not incompetence. That is crookedness.
Now, that video was taken down from her Facebook page, and Matawalle has yet to officially respond to her. But the context of this is that Daniels has also previously called on President Tinubu to remove him from his role over her allegations that he was complicit in some way in a number of attacks across the country. On the flip side, you have a U.S.-based Nigerian group, the Nigerian American Coalition for Strategic Stability, criticizing Daniels' stance, saying it's representative of a pattern of foreign commentary on Nigeria that lacks a nuanced understanding of what's actually going on here on the ground. And Rufai, I'll come to you on this story, but I'll take some quick reactions from X. Bob says, a serious allegation, and given who's making it, directly raises questions about international credibility, anti-corruption standards, and Nigeria's global image. Then you have Zorro, who says, when the international reports start smelling like the truth, the Nigerian institutional reflex isn't to fix the failure, but to find the price tag of the person writing the report. We've successfully exported our, quote, settlement culture to Florida, and now we're acting surprised that American officials actually keep logs of the conversation. And finally, DS says, why can't Nigeria set a precedent that when a public office holder is faced with such allegations, such as these, they're required to step or resign until a full investigation is carried out? Rufai, these are allegations, but they're strong allegations, and what do you make of it?
I think there should be investigation into those allegations. Investigation, but I want to speak to facts, to give you empirical facts. When Governor Dauda and Governor Matawalle were fighting, there were some accusations made by Governor Dauda. Let me read some of them to you. Dauda Lawal alleged that Matawalle, as serving governor, facilitated the presence of bandits within government house. The governor claimed that vehicles meant for official purposes were used to support bandits. Lawal stated that ransom payments for kidnapped victims were processed through the government house during Matawalle's tenure, and he called for resignation. Matawalle replied by consistently denying these allegations and making them and saying they were what's he called baseless. He has challenged Governor Lawal to swear with Holy Quran to prove his innocence regarding the connection to insecurity. Before this video, I would have thought that a government that wants to fight insecurity, when these allegations were made, would investigate. Till today, did we investigate? I don't think so. But for good measure, Governor Adelabu is in the APC now. All right, he's moved to the APC. So, if we have some of this startling evidence on ground before now, as regards Matawalle, when are we going to investigate these things? As we also investigate all of these things this woman has said. Before now, he has denied most of the claims. In fact, in an interview, he said he's ready to swear with the Quran. He said he didn't do anything of such. But the question I just want to ask is, who has investigated these allegations against a Minister of State for Defense? I think that's the question I'm throwing back to the state and to the public today.
Very serious allegations. Dr. Abati Mbah, I'd love your comments on this story as well.
The tricky part of it that I find is Representative Kimberly Daniels. She's Republican, right?
No, she's Democrat.
Florida House of Representatives, District 14, chairperson of the United Nations World Congress of Diplomats, saying that President Bola Tinubu should remove Matawalle as Minister of State because she thinks that is not good enough for that position, that is too weak, and that is a sympathizer of terrorists. Well, may she be reminded that no foreigner, external body can dictate to the president of Nigeria who to appoint as minister. I've said this morning that there are more ministers that should go beyond just removing Wale Edun and also Dangiwa, who is the minister, I think, in charge of housing on urban development. That there are some there that are just dead cargo who are not fit for purpose. But the point to note is that the prerogative to appoint anybody a minister, to hire and fire, is the decision of the President of Nigeria, and that lies under Section 5 of the 1999 Constitution. 2, however, Ms. Daniels says that she's speaking on the authority of God, and that she's defending the interests of Christians in Nigeria, and that she's the heir to the kingship of heaven. She's an evangelist, by the way. She's also a pastor. So she's speaking in her capacity as Reverend Daniels. But the third point is that we who alleges must prove. She says she's been under pressure from some lobbies sent by Matawalle, and an attempt had been made to bribe an unnamed American official. I think he who alleges must prove. She must show evidence that there has been an attempt to bribe her or any other unnamed official, and also to put her under pressure. But as for our religious beliefs and our fight against Christian genocide in Nigeria, that's exclusively our choice. But I don't think it extends to dictating to the President of Nigeria who to appoint or not appoint as a minister. That's the prerogative of the President. Even when we recommend here, we just state the principle that some of these ministers are not good for purpose. But we don't tell the President, remove this person, remove that person. Right. I think that's where she went a bit overboard. Apart from the fact that this allegation of Christian genocide is very controversial from the perspective of the Nigerian government, saying, oh, we are collaborating with the US to do certain things, we are making the effort. It's not only Christians that are being persecuted, Muslims also suffer because of the peculiar situation. And that takes the ball back to the Nigerian government to move faster in terms of how the government makes this environment safe for everybody, whether the person is a shamanist or a Christian or a Muslim.
And then by just, to wrap it all up.
Very quickly, I think all points have been made, but I just also want to highlight the outcome of what happens when you have a battle of lobbying happening, because we now have a situation where each of the groups, or rather a number of the main groups, are reported as having created immense budget, multi-million-dollar budgets for the purpose of lobbying, specifically lobbying in the United States. And so what you now have is, usually you would say, oh, we don't want people to infringe on our sovereignty. But when you now go and invite people to become part of the conversation, you have all kinds of unsolicited contributions that are going to be made. Now, we can't discredit these contributions, because we also know that many people have different capacities for investigative journalism, different capacities for engaging with people, and so forth. So having said that, I really do hope that Kimberly Daniels does put forward her evidence for this, so that we can see something concrete coming out of this. And that's the criticism that we've always had with regards to these accusations of senior officials always being named in these conspiracies of working with bandits and terrorists and so forth, is that names are always dropped, but we want to see the receipts being dropped as well. Let's see the evidence, so that we can move past this season, or this culture of rhetoric and just naming people and attaching them to something. So Rep. Kimberly Daniels, please, by all means, share your receipts with us, so that we can, the necessary authorities can hopefully act on it.
Exactly.
If they don't want to act on it, then at least public pressure will be able to, civil society and so forth, will be able to put the pressure for the relevant parties to do what needs to be done.
Very good points. As everyone has said, we need the proof. But let's now turn to Abuja, where people online right now are saying that President Bola Tinubu is playing the blame game when it comes to the country's lack of constant electricity, after the president yesterday called out the power sector's 2013 privatization for present-day struggles. Now, the president made these comments during a speech at the State House while hosting a delegation from Enugu, led by State Governor Peter Mbah. Let's take a look.
You have leaders who had privatized electricity that is not working. They gave us darkness and despair. And we are trying to get ourselves through that to build a nation of bright hope and joyful people, and leave our children with a life worthy of pride.
Now, I'll quickly take one reaction from X, with Abe saying Tinubu blaming 2013 privatization for darkness after nearly 3 years in power is classic deflection. Nigerians are still buying generators and candles in 2026. Now, the president's comments come as questions around the potential next steps for the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, have now been answered, with the confirmation just hours ago that he's resigning from his position in order to run for governor of Oyo State. Now, in a statement from the minister's special advisor on strategic communications, Bola Tinubu, on Tuesday, and posted on his X page this morning, the development came after this meeting with the president at the presidential villa on Tuesday, where Adelabu presented a review of how he's ran the power sector for the last 2.5 years. And Dr. Abati, I will come to you on these two stories. Now, the power minister announcing his resignation, as well as President Tinubu basically saying 2013 is the reason for our power problems. Is that true?
Well, I don't think that the president said categorically that it was 2013 privatization that caused the problem. The decoupling of the electricity sector from government control began, in fact, as far back as 2005 under the Obasanjo administration, when they had this roadmap to electricity reform. But it was in 2013 that the Jonathan administration now, continued with that power sector. 2010, actually, 2010, under the Yar'Adua administration. And then in 2013, the process was then, fast-tracked with the privatization process, the involvement of private sector in gencos and discos, with the exception of transmission, where we had, government retaining control of this transmission company of Nigeria. But the main point that the president made when he was receiving the delegation from Enugu State, led by Governor Peter Mbah, the Enugu State leaders, governors, stakeholders had gone to meet with the president, is that he believes that for reform to be meaningful, to take place, you need long-term planning. But it was failure in terms of long-term planning that led to the legacy of darkness. So if you are reviewing the reform process within the electricity sector, you take it from the very beginning. What is that failure of long-term planning that the president is referring to? However, there's been some argument about the need to rejig that electricity sector, in terms of taking another look at the reform, in terms of looking at legacy debts over time. Those players, discos and gencos, they are being owed over 6 trillion. Is it dollars or naira? But it's over 6 trillion in absolute terms, and those debts are still mounting. Government says they've taken care of about 501 billion naira. We have not seen evidence of that. So there's an emergency in the electricity sector that needs to be addressed. And I guess it was in that context that the president was talking about, they gave us darkness. However, he himself has had about 3 years there. He has a minister of power who has been promising Nigerians electricity, who also has been delivering darkness. Was he not his own minister of power who promised that within 2 weeks there will be gas supply and power generation will go out, and the distribution of electricity will go up? It has not gone up.
Still waiting.
So, in terms of long-term planning, we are yet to see the improvement under the Tinubu administration itself. And that, many analysts have said, that it is because he has a round peg in a square hole, or a square peg in a round hole. There are people who have institutional memory in this environment. Once upon a time, we had a guy called Larry Babalola who tried to at least move that sector forward. We have had some other ministers who showed some understanding. This storytelling under the Tinubu administration, we have had enough of storytelling. So if the president has already identified the problem, let him address it. Because as we have been told again and again, power generation, electricity provision is tied to economic growth and development.
Right.
The other point you made is that the Minister of Power has now resigned. I'm not sure if that has been confirmed, because we've been hearing it as rumor. He is going to resign. He has not resigned. He has changed his mind. He's going to be a governorship aspirant in Oyo State. The situation in Oyo State is not so sure. I think that if Adebayo Adelabu wants to continue with his provision of darkness in Oyo State, he's welcome to do so. I mean, he's free to do so. It is his choice. So all this uncertainty about where he's going next, I think we've had enough of that. Let us be sure. If he's leaving, let him leave. We will thank him for his services, and he can go and serve his people in Oyo State. Yes. What they do with themselves is their own problem in Oyo State. Mm-hmm. But I'm not too sure whether he has resigned or not.
The statement said he's set to resign in coming days.
Set to resign. So we need
which
some
is a strange. Why would you tell us you are going to resign? No, just resign.
You see,
one or the other.
I like to call out hypocrisy. When the APC was campaigning against the PDP, they said 16 years PDP cannot provide power. The APC has been there for 10 years now. They have not still been able to provide the power they abused the PDP for 16 years for. Mm. President Tinubu, en route to the last election, say, if I don't provide... See, nobody went to meet him. He said it himself. I say, if I don't provide power, do not do what? Do not vote for me. Today, he's not changing the goalpost, talking about the history of power. You see, when people want to distract themselves, they start to talk history. They will talk history from here to Kutuwenji. And President, is it that President Tinubu was telling us I didn't know the problem in the power sector before he became president? Didn't he say he was going to solve it? What did he do? He gave, anyway, the tariff system has been there since 2020. He effected the Band A system. When they effected Band A, they promised us it was going to be the game changer. Today, do we have light on Band A? No.
No, we don't.
Failed promise. So when he's talking about the Gencos' role in the power system is just to produce the power. Most of the problem starts with the government again. The transmission company, that the grid is always in terrible situation.
Right.
Installed capacity over 13,000 megawatt. Installed capacity. Can you load that amount on the grid? No. If you load more than 5,000-6,000 on the grid, you don't know if the grid might take it. He has not talked about revamping the grid. Did he know these problems before he became president? Yes. What has he done anything about it? We don't know. We have not seen.
Right.
So all of this falls within his purview. And he knew all of this before he became president when he told us that if you don't give us power in the next 4 years, don't vote for me. Has he given power to all Nigerians in the next 4 years? Within the 4 years? He has not given power.
Daniel Bola said there's still 1 year now.
There's still 1 year. No, Daniel, I think... Please,
We're still waiting.
Let me finish my points, please. Let me talk about something very important.
You are enjoying criticizing Nigeria too much.
I'm not criticizing. I'm quoting what
you see,
Sorry, let me
talk about important things, please.
Thank you.
So, he has not given the power. And he made a promise. So all of this is talking. They were the ones that were abusing. Obasanjo and Jonathan, PDP then. They didn't do anything in 16 years. Now they have the power. They should give us the power, the electricity. And Adelabu, you see, Dr. Bati was saying something the other day. That his scorecard in the power sector should not matter in Oyo State. Yes. But it's because we have built a democracy where there's no accountability. If you want to judge a man, you will judge him by his scorecard.
Right.
Has he succeeded? No. Till today, last year, they said they were going to pay Genco money. They've been paying the money stacker. Have they even paid the money? The vet has gone up to 7-something trillion now. They said they audited the money to 3-something trillion now. The Gencos are saying no. So there's a fight back and forth. They said, okay, some part of the Gencos agreed they were going to pay them the money. Others not. Right. So the legacy debt has not been paid. These are the problems in the power sector. But please, let's go back to President Tinubu's promise. If we do not give you power, do not vote for me, Bola Tinubu. I'm not Bola Tinubu. I'm quoting him.
Right.
Can we hold him accountable by that promise? And let's stop dilly-dallying.
Absolutely. I mean, everyone saw that video because it was circulating on social media and still is. But as we discuss the progress or lack thereof within the APC to fix the power sector, let's turn to APC happenings in Kwara State, with one of the party's praise singers and political aspirants, Abdul Majid Abdul Fatai, breaking down in tears after alleging in a new video that he was deliberately removed from the list of aspirants for the State House of Assembly in the Ilorin Central constituency. Now, in the video, which started making the rounds on Tuesday, he gets visibly emotional, calling it a party betrayal. Let's watch.
So later, wọ́n wá padà sọ fún mi pé torí pé wọ́n submit orúkọ mi láti Ilorin West, orúkọ mi ò tẹ̀lé pé orúkọ mi ò tẹ̀lé orúkọ tó wà nínú àwọn tó wà House of Assembly lọ́jà jíǹde. So mo sì ti submit letter ní ward tí ward chairman ti pè mí pé wọ́n ti ní káwọn submit orúkọ ní local. Kí ló dé tó wá yọ orúkọ mi ìmọ̀ ìdí tó fi yọ orúkọ mi. So tí ó bá ṣe pé wọ́n pè mí nísìnyí láti state gbé kí n tún orúkọ mi send màá mọ̀ ṣe wàhálà lásán. Ìgbé mi lẹ́nu kankan wọ́n á yọ orúkọ mi.
Now, he says he submitted his letter of intention through the proper channels and is now calling on APC officials in the state to explain his exclusion, describing it as unfair and unexpected ahead of the primaries in Mumbai. I mean, clearly, politics can get emotional, right?
It's not for the faint-hearted. I'm not laughing at him. I'm just, I think I'm finding the humor in the fact that if you don't have a thick skin, just sit it out. You can continue praise singing. I think trying to campaign is quite different from being a praise singer, which is what he was known for. I know our gallery are in fits of laughter, but let's focus on these serious issues, which is that, of course, APC released their timetable, and many people have looked at the APC primaries as a litmus test for APC's internal democracy. In this season where the APC has been taunting the opposition for saying, oh, they're in disarray, they're disorganized, they can't get themselves together, it seems that within the APC as well, they're not immune from some of the challenges and from some of the intrigues of politics that bedevil other parties. Again, this is why many people, they use this example to reinforce the fact that, well, what's happening in the opposition is no different from what's happening within the APC. So, why is it that in the opposition's case, it stops them from being able to move forward? Well, APC is the ruling party. Having said that, this gentleman, he said he has no one to speak up for me. I have no one to speak up for me. It reminds us of the fact that godfatherism is still the order of the day. If you don't have somebody high up there who's vouching for you and carrying you along, it's difficult. Now, this is a picture painted about what's going to happen to the consensus process, because Electoral Act 2026, as amended, gives two options: direct primaries or consensus. They say that Lagos State, Oyo State, Ogun State are the only places that have really finalized on the direction they're going in. Interesting to note that in Oyo State, when you do your findings, they're saying that the person who the consensus has brought out is Senator Sharafaddin Ali. But we now have Minister Adelabu set to resign. His advisor has told us that he's preparing to resign in the coming days. Those intrigues will be interesting because the deadline for changing political parties is the 10th of May. And the primaries happen after that date. So we'll no longer have a situation where those who feel that they didn't get their fair share or they didn't get what they wanted from the party, they can no longer port to other parties to still go for the offices that they want to. So this is a new dynamic. It's the first time we're going to see something such as this. And the question is, what is the fate of those within the APC who are going to feel like they've been shortchanged or treated unfairly? How will that implosion be handled? Will there be rebellion? Will there be self-sabotage within the APC? There are arguments that say that, oh, they will settle them, they can give, as they are the ruling party, there's something for everyone. But in this instance, you have almost every single state that has original, or if I may call them original APC members who feel that they've worked hard and paid their dues. Now you have decampees who have come and joined the party and overnight are being offered all types of goodies that people feel that they've earned over time. So we're going to continue to see how this will play out. You have in Delta State, Okowas has already started campaigning. You're seeing him he's put his name forward. But also what happens to Ned Nwoko? And there's so many scenarios like that across the country. So really, APC primaries are going to be quite an intrigue for us, and we'll be here to see how it all plays out. And again, a narrative on internal democracy, not just in opposition parties, because that's what we focus on. The ruling party has its own challenges as well.
Very, very true.
One point about the character of politics and politicians. This Mr. Abdul Fatai from Kwara, right? APC. You describe him as a praise singer. The praise singer says he too wants to be praised. One of the things he said is that he's been praise singing other people. Will he do it for nothing? So that tells you that in Nigerian politics, the politicians are there for what they want to gain. Whether he's the man who wants to go to House of Assembly and he has a sense of entitlement. He has been praising people. Yes. Let him also be praised, only to be told that his name is not on the list. And so he laments. The point about internal democracy is that what we find, even at the party level, is selection. Imposition, rather than a democratic process that throws up the best.
Right.
And that is the dilemma that he faces. I think he will learn in due course that this is a character of Nigerian politics. You may praise other people and not be praised. Praise singer, your praise will come one day when democracy is properly observed.
Okay.
And from there, let's now shift gears away from politics by heading to Delta State, where the public is calling for justice after a shocking video from an Urobo cultural festival in Warri South, which showed a woman getting violently attacked by traditional masquerade yet again. Now, in the video, which started circulating on Monday, the woman is seen crying out in pain beside an open drainage as a masquerade repeatedly hits her with a large stick. Let's take a look. Now, no statement yet on this incident from the Delta State Police as we wait for authorities to really confirm the circumstances of what led to that attack. But in a separate video emerging on Tuesday, the community chairman reportedly went to apologize to this woman, giving her money to buy medication, allegedly. But people, Rufai, online are calling for this masquerade's arrest and wondering if, are all states going to go the way of a Akwa Ibom that banned masquerades
they have to
altogether?
Arrest the masquerades. No, the masquerade is a class, a human being. It's not a member. It's not from they call it Egun around. It's not around. It's not from heaven here. This is a human being that committed a crime. He saw a woman. He flogged her. I flogged her. Then he must do the crime. So they must fish out that masquerade. Maybe there were people that were that man that is holding him. They should look for his face. He will fish out the masquerade. He's the masquerade's hype man. He must face that crime. What nonsense in this country. Is this what our traditional beliefs have become? A celebration of our culture is something very good. Masquerades are supposed to be there to be arbiters of blessings. When they have performance, people are supposed to celebrate with them. I love masquerades a lot because they play. I'm serious.
I'll never beat you.
No, but I'm serious.
Right.
So, my father, bless his soul, used to have one of the biggest archival pictures of masquerades I see. He was a photographer of hobby. He liked taking pictures. He had cameras. Then he would take pictures of different masquerade display, and it was very lovely work of art. So I love them. I love the brilliance. I love the color. I love what they bring. I love what they signify and typify. But I don't like this part of them. I don't like this part of them. This is hurtful. This is egregious. This is something we should condemn. The masquerades I know come out to pray for people. The masquerades I know come out to interface across worlds. That's why we, the Yorubas, have a belief where we call them Egun, that they are from the ancestors. Not this. Our ancestors don't behave like this. I'm a supporter of our African traditional culture. These guys are desecrating the culture.
This incident vindicates Governor Moeno of Akwa Ibom State, who came out publicly to say that masquerades claiming to come from heaven, behaving like criminals, and brutalizing members of the community will not be allowed. And there have been at least 2 cases in Akwa Ibom where masquerades have been taken to court. We don't know what the Delta State government will decide at the end of the day, but the freedom of religion, Section 38 of the 1999 Constitution, applies to everybody, whether you are Muslim, Christian, or Isheshe. But you cannot hide under a mask and brutalize other people. Do you know that in this festival in Delta State, in Warri, we were told that they even went to a Redeemed church where 27 masquerades stormed a Redeemed church and brutalized the people. So if they have the right to do their own traditional worship, the people in the Redeemed church also have the right to worship their own God the way they have chosen. My other point is that the identity of this masquerade should be properly established, because with the kind of vendetta that he was flogging that lady, he may be an ex-boyfriend who is aggrieved. No, that's another practical side to the matter. One boyfriend will become a criminal under the mask, search out an old girlfriend who found another lover, and brutalize her like that. We need to get to the bottom of it. And if it's a former boyfriend hiding under a mask, his punishment should be triple for abusing, on the grounds of failed romance.
Right. I mean,
if that story is true, it confirms the girlfriend's position. He was not a good lover.
Oh gosh.
Honestly,
I mean, you know, we'll wait to get more details about what exactly went down there. But in another development, let's now turn to the senior pastor and general overseer of Omega Fire Ministries in Oyo State, Apostle Johnson Suleiman, striking a chord with his word on taxes, resonating with a number of people online. Now, in the clip from his sermon, Apostle Suleiman demands that the government does more as people pay higher taxes, adding that many people falsely assume that pastors don't pay, but according to him, they do, a lot. Let's watch.
There are pastors paying tax every year, 20 million, 30 million, 40 million. And you say I should not talk that there's no light? The tax is paying me. 5 million, they are paying. Every year donated to government, there's no road. I will swear for you. I will swear for you. I will swear for you. When my money is in something, I'm not a stakeholder. Where are the business analysts here? Once your money is in something, you're not a stakeholder. What are you telling me? I'll pay millions every year. I'll just dash you. You didn't do anything for me.
Now, Vimbai, a big picture for this is that people want to see the outcomes of the taxes that they're paying, whether it's roads, electricity, infrastructure. The same question remains: where is everyone's money going if improvements are marginal?
Well, these are the questions, Annie. What do they say? If you ask me now, who I go, who I go ask. Very briefly, I love the humorous way that he's educating people. As we're going into this new regime, tax has been rejigged. It's not just about tax being deducted from our salaries and people paying their income tax and corporate tax and so forth. It's also about us demanding accountability, because the money is not, as they say locally, it's not dash. It's a transaction. It's the government's hand in your life. So because you're paying taxes, you now have a bigger voice, a bolder voice to be able to say, like he said, where's my electricity? Where's my road? Why is there a pothole on my road? Where's my primary health care center? Where's all the facilities that we should be getting from government? So I love this, and I really do hope that people can take up that message and start to ask more questions. Where is my tax going? Because it's your money, it's your service that is supposed to be rendered, and you deserve to find out what happened to it.
Very true.
The
Dr.
only
Abati.
part of it that I don't like is a man of God, the pastor, going about saying, I will swear for you, I will swear for you. The Bible is very clear. In Matthew chapter 5 and in Luke chapter 6, you are supposed to turn the other cheek. That's what the Bible teaches. When pastors now say they will not turn the other cheek, they will fight, they will swear. That's not in line with the Bible.
True, very true. That's a very good point.